Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage. So tonight on the race truck project, we're gonna tackle our wiring. In the last episode, we hit a little snag, a little snafu with the belt. I think I got that figured out. We actually have a new belt on order. I think I got it kind of figured out how we're gonna route it. Once that belt gets here, which is hopefully tomorrow, we can do all that, put the front end of the truck back together, and just keep moving on with this thing. We're getting very close to startup. That's why we are going to wire the truck. So I've been kind of droning on and on about how much it's going to be a pain to wire and all this. Well, when it comes down to it, there's not that many wires on the thing. Starter, ignition, our fans, our radiator fans, our coolant pump, all that kind of stuff. But it really doesn't amount to that much. So I just needed to figure out a way, our ammeter, needed to figure out a good game plan on how to do that. And I spent a couple nights, and here's what I came up with. So here is that little control board that you just saw me put together. This has pretty much all of our controls for the whole truck. So the main part of this is this relay bank here. This is part of an arc or auto rod control switch panel. A lot of guys just call it like an arc switch panel. I decided to go with the 12 button one just to make sure we had enough room. But this arc panel, this whole relay setup is ran by these switches, which we have up on our roll bar. So this is a roll bar mount. There's just two hose clips in the back, and then you got all your buttons. And it does have labels, and also we can label all of our buttons. On the side here, it has momentary for the first 8, and then on the other side here for the last 4 is the other set. But there's momentary and master. So as you can see on number 1, I don't know if you guys can see that or not, probably not, but I have the number 1 little toggle switch forward. So number 1 will be our starter. So every one of these buttons you can set to be a momentary switch or an on-off switch. Now these panels are actually guaranteed for life from arc rod or auto rod controls. One thing to note, if you look up any YouTube videos of this, like that the auto rod people put on, these things I think have been out for well over a decade, but they just make wiring very simple. So this control panel is connected to our relay setup by these two, I don't know if you guys can see that, these two ribbon cables up top here. How's that? Yeah, so that little black thing, that's the ribbon cable. As you can see, I have it ran and down here on our roll bar to where we're gonna mount this puppy. So, like I said, with this auto rod, arc switch panel, I'll just call it, you just supply power in for like your battery, and then this thing's ready to go. Anytime we turn on our cutoff switch, we will have power to it, and then we can hit the ignition button to fire everything up. Now, how I have this all wired, the ignition button, when we hit that button, which will be our second button, that'll activate this relay and let power go into this fuse panel. I think it's a Blue Sea fuse panel. This is actually what we had in the truck before. So we have one section here of 6 fuses or 6 different things that will be on with the ignition. So that'll be our nitrous outlet Promax progressive controller, our anteater, and our blow-off valve. So all that is on the relay for the ignition, so we're not overloading this circuit. Also, we have another wire here. This side is going to be constantly hot. So this is, as soon as we turn the cutoff switch on, all this stuff will be hot, and that's like our radiator fan, breaker, and actually that's all I have on it right now. So we reuse this. I have all of our neutrals here. We're going to find a good place to get a neutral. I'll probably just weld something to the cab or the roll bar. And then over here is our hot, like I said. We'll have our feed coming in. Our blow off valve, of course, is here, our anteater. And then this black terminal post here is actually TPS. So for our Turbo Smart blow off valve, our anteater, and our ProMax controller for the nitrous, we have a place to dead end for the TPS. And then when we get this installed, we can run the TPS from our Breakout Tuning Solutions harness to that, and we should be good to go. Now, what I wanted to try and do with this was try and, of course, keep everything clean. And I know I have a couple of loose wires here, but once we get them in the cab of the truck, we'll run them better. But I also wanted everything to be serviceable. So if we have an issue, I can get to the fuses, I can get to the relays, I can get to this. Really just have everything as clean as possible. So I'm very happy with how this turned out. And also I have these little rubber insulators on there, so that way it'll take some of the vibration away, try and make sure all of our electronics are good. So anyway, guys, like I said, I know I'm kind of droning on and on, but that's our main hub, electrical hub, if you will. So that's actually going to go in here above the transmission, not on the floor, but on the firewall. The reason for that is I just wanted a nice central location. I didn't want it on the floor in case, you know, I throw my helmet or, you know, whatever. I just wanted it somewhere up off the ground. And if I'm climbing in there to work on it, I don't want to be stepping on stuff. But anyhow, I was saying that I don't like wiring, and the more I find that I do it, it's just coming easier and easier. Like this, I have been thinking about it for a while. I was originally thinking about maybe just mounting everything separate, and then I kind of come up with the panel idea, which that's just a piece of fiberglass insulation panel for, I don't even know what it's for, honestly, but it's just something I found when I was out and say, hey, this will work. So anyway, guys, I'll quit rambling. Let's get this thing installed, and then we can get the wiring, everything in the truck. So our panel is in with all of our controllers, all our wiring. I'm very happy with how everything's looking. So we have a couple connectors over here going through the firewall. One is the feed for the radiator fans, like the main feed. Also going through the other connector, we have our switch wire for the radiator fans, our blow-off valve control, solenoid wires. Also our feed for our coolant pump. And then over here on the other side, I have another one of those, and that is feeding to this panel for our CM2100. Our ECM will be getting fed off of here, and also our starter wires coming through there. We will figure out how to route our anteater wires later once we have our transmission back from John. I think that's about it. The only wires we have left to run are our main feed and our transmission fan. So we got to run that wire right there. We'll probably run those together to keep things simple. We can run those, get those terminated. And I think that's about it for now. We do have to run our ribbon cables for the arc switch panel, for the relay panel there. Really, they just wrap around the roll bar and all, and then you just use electrical tape, or in our case, we're going to be using our Tessa tape, which we use for all of our electrical work. This stuff just, if it'll focus. This Tessa tape, this is what I find to work the best. It's pretty much kind of like the fiber tape that you find at like an OE harness is. So anyway, we'll get our feed to the panel on there. We'll get all of our ribbon cables nice, and maybe we can put some juice to something. Maybe spin the starter over, I don't know. So guys, we got all of our wiring kind of done. Well, I shouldn't say all. We have our power cable coming in. We have our trans fan hooked up. We have all our other wires ran. I have a neutral over here going from the cowl of the body down to our fuse panel. We're looking good. I got the arc rod controls relay thing hooked up. But there is one issue with that. So I was kind of getting all that sorted out, and I noticed right here, apparently I nicked the ribbon cable when I was doing my pull, which is unfortunate, but when I traced it back, it's the yellow one up top here. So that is the top 4 relays. That's the ones over here. We don't have anything going to those currently, so I'll just unplug it. For the time being, we'll have to get another one. That sucks. But I'm not even sure what I snagged it on. Probably on these hose clamps. I'm gonna have to do something, make sure that doesn't happen again. But anyway, we are all set up as far as that goes. Our coolant pump, our radiator fans, our blow-off valve, all that stuff isn't wired up yet because, well, it's not in the truck. And, well, the coolant pump is, but I just didn't get to it. It's getting late. But our transmission cooler fan, our ECM, our blow-off valve, our anteater, all that stuff's wired up. I got all of our neutrals hooked back up. So we're ready to see what happens. I haven't turned it on yet. We'll see how she goes. Fingers crossed. Let's give her a whirl. So, all right, no drama. We got lights. It looks like our bare copper wires there is probably those 2 switches. If I touch that, yeah. So yeah, we're gonna have to get a new ribbon cable. So anyhow, I think number 4 is our trans fan. Shore it up. Off. Number 2 is our ignition. So when we turn the ignition on, we have our light for our blow-off valve. So that means the relay's working. All that stuff's doing what it's supposed to. Now we'll turn that off because we are not ready to start the truck because our fuel lines are still disconnected. But we got a starter. Oh yeah. All right. That's awesome. I'm ecstatic that we can turn the truck over. We can turn the engine over. We have our trans fan working. We got some more stuff to wire. Don't get me wrong, but really this wiring that I've been moaning and complaining about, making that panel made everything so easy. Plus this auto rod controls our arc switch panel, just makes everything easy. We can have our switches up here, have our relays, everything's fused, it's relayed. Yeah, I was certainly making a mountain out of a molehill with this. But yeah, I mean, I'm ecstatic. This is awesome. And as far as all the stuff goes on the panel, I think our terminal blocks for our TPS and for our positive, those came from Amazon. So did that fuse panel I have. I think it's like Blue Sea something or other. Just type in fuse panel and it should come up, fuse block, something like that. Anyway, guys, I'm kind of rambling. It sucks that our ribbon cable's screwed up, but we don't need those relays right now. Anyway, we're getting there. We're getting close. Once we figure out our fuel lines up front there, we'll be ready to try and get this thing started. Yeah. So once we get our waterman all sorted out, what exactly we're going to do with that, then we'll have fuel going to it. We'll be able to actually start the truck or start the engine. I'm I've been waiting for this. I haven't heard this thing run yet, so I'm ecstatic. Also, I forgot to say earlier, our hood stack is completely welded, so we'll be able to install that. Okay. Anyway, yeah. Guys, I'm just kind of rambling right now. I'm thrilled. Like if we didn't have that little waterman issue earlier, we could actually start the truck tonight. So anyway, guys, like I said, I'm rambling. It's late. It's a school night. We're getting close. We're getting close. We're getting close. We're gonna make fire soon. I'm thrilled. So anyway, guys, get out in your garage. Get the wrenching on your truck.